Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official NFL Week 18 picks and predictions, where I predict the final score of every NFL game. And guys, I waited a little bit. I wanted to see what the NFL was going to do, and they still really haven't updated it. I don't think they know what to do at this point. We've still got the Cincinnati Bengals, Baltimore Ravens game. The time, we don't know when it's going to be, and it's Wednesday. The game's on Sunday. I would imagine it's going to be updated sometime today on what they're going to do. There's been talk about moving the games back a week. Do they move the playoffs? I don't know, but they did say yesterday that there is nothing changing in terms of the schedule. So I think, at least right now, tentatively, all these games are happening, but there's just really been no communication from the NFL on the games and things like that. So we're just going to go. I'm going to give my predictions. Starting with the two Saturday games, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Vegas Raiders. Of course, the Chiefs possibly getting the 1 seed, although that's kind of in flux right now. The Bills haven't played, the same number of games. A lot of people wondering what happens. Right now, the Chiefs 7.5-point favorites, guys. Jarrett Stidham, I like him. He's a gunslinger. They've got a talented offense in Vegas. Stidham is playing for an NFL roster spot next year on a team, possibly as a legitimate backup, maybe, vying for a starting role. I really think Jarrett Stidham's going to come in. How about this line? It opened the Chiefs minus 9.5. It's down to 7.5. And guys, I get a major high-scoring vibe. I like the Chiefs to win this game. Very high-scoring game. Vegas Raiders home overs are locks. It always goes over when it's played in that new Death Star Stadium that they built. All those games are high-scoring. Mahomes, you want to talk about Vegas getting all their pieces back. Darren Waller having a great game last week. This is where Mahomes locks up the MVP with a 3 passing touchdown performance and 350 yards against the suspect Raiders defense. But the Raiders, they lost 37-34 last week. They play really well on offense, even with Stidham, who again is vying for a future in the NFL. I think it's going to be a really good Saturday afternoon game. And then the Saturday nightcap, it is the battle for the AFC South. Jacksonville at home against Tennessee. Tennessee resting Derrick Henry on the Thursday night game. Josh Dobbs, he's not great, but I think he looked way better than Malik Willis. He can at least move the ball a little bit. Jacksonville sitting 6.5-point favorites. And guys, I am a fan of Jacksonville, but I think Vegas is kind of underrating Tennessee's team. Mike Vrabel's coaching ability, I think they keep this game close. They're going to lose. Trevor Lawrence will be in the playoffs, but it will be closer than expected, lower scoring game. Tennessee's going to have a few drives where they really lean on Derrick Henry. Wouldn't be surprised if he got 30 carries in this game after having virtually the past 2 weeks off. He is going to get a huge workload. Tennessee's going to play good enough defense to keep this game close, but Jacksonville wins. Trevor Lawrence having a great second half, just like I predicted he would, and he's really turning into a franchise quarterback. Jacksonville back into the playoffs with that win. Moving to the Sunday games, obviously this game extremely hard to predict right now. There's been talk of them moving it back a day. What do you do with the Bills? I'm sure the NFL is talking to the Players, Association, the PA right now about what they want to do, with these games. But right now it is scheduled for 1 o'clock. I don't know if it's going to get played at 1. It's very hard for me to make a pick, but I do see the Bills rallying and really galvanizing here and winning this game 31-20. Again, it's very hard to make a pick, but they said the games are going to happen this week, so I'm just giving my predictions. I think the Bills galvanize at home in a very emotional game. And then New England is a team with Mac Jones on the road at Josh Allen. It's not a good setup for the Patriots, even though they did win last week. Although, guys, what a sham game that was last week. I had New England. I said New England minus 2.5 and the under. And then how about the Miami Dolphins scoring a garbage time touchdown and ruining everything? It goes over, and the Dolphins cover. Absolutely disgusting. But either way, I will take Buffalo in that one. Next, we do have the Bucks traveling to Atlanta. So we're getting some kind of interesting setups here with the Tampa Bay Bucks saying they're going to be playing Tom Brady, but there is speculation that he's only going to be playing the first quarter, a few series. The Bucks won their division. They are locked into their playoff spot. Atlanta was sitting -3 yesterday. They've gone to -4.5. I think the Bucks play Tom Brady, maybe 2 series, and then it's Blaine Gabbert the rest of the way against an Atlanta team that's really trying to build something with their young quarterback Desmond Ridder along with Drake London. But I will say, I think the Atlanta Falcons completely mismanaged this season. Desmond Ridder should have been playing much earlier. They probably would have a lot worse record, meaning they would have a better draft pick, and you would have at least some idea on if Desmond Ridder is your future franchise quarterback. Right now, going with Marcus Mariota for as long as they did, it won them more meaningless games. They're not prepared for the future. They could have a lot worse record right now and a lot better idea on Desmond Ridder as a quarterback. And you've got guys like Will Levis and CJ Stroud that possibly could be there at pick number 3 or 4. Now you really don't know. So I think the Atlanta Falcons have completely mismanaged their organization, but I do see them winning this game 24-17 against mainly the backups for Tampa Bay. Next, we have Minnesota traveling to Chicago. So I don't know the current status on if Minnesota will be playing their starters, but I'm going to guess they are because the line for this game jumped from Minnesota -4 to Minnesota -6. And you also do have a heavy incentive from Chicago to lose this game. They have an outside chance at getting the number 1 overall pick if they lose and Houston wins. Even, you just want to lose this game so you at least guarantee the number 2 overall pick and you can trade down and, at that point get tons of assets, get tons of weapons for Justin Fields. You almost have to wonder, does Chicago consider sitting Justin Fields and saying, oh, he got a hamstring injury or something? I mean, listen, I don't think they'll do it, but I think if you're Chicago, finish off the tank, finish it right. Justin Fields is the future, but you need to get him more weapons. Make sure you lose this game. Minnesota, I think they're pretty much locked into their playoff spot. But either way, I still think they win this game because Chicago needs to lose it. Next, we have Baltimore traveling to Cincinnati. So guys, we don't know. This game was to be determined. It was based off of the result of the Monday night game that obviously did not finish, and that Monday night game will not happen this week. So we don't know what time this game will be at. Right now I'll say it's 1 o'clock. Cincinnati sitting -3. Baltimore very likely getting Lamar Jackson back. I'll take Cincinnati to win this game by 3 points. Joe Burrow's had such a great year. It is hard to predict this game, so I'm just taking the chalk. 24-21. Baltimore has just not been good enough on offense. But I will say Baltimore is turning into a scary team if Lamar Jackson is healthy, because we've seen crazy things from J.K. Dobbins. If J.K. Dobbins is seriously fully back, you've got Lamar, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Andrews, and a very elite defense. So I am high on the Bengals entering the playoffs if everyone is healthy there. Next, we've got the epic battle of the tank. It is the Houston Texans taking on Indianapolis. And guys, Houston needs to lose. Both of these teams need to lose this game, but I just have a feeling Jeff Saturday and Indianapolis at home are going to go try-hard mode. Houston's going to want no part of it. If they lose, they're guaranteed Bryce Young. They're going to lose this game for sure. Indy is sitting -2.5. Houston's going to do what they got to do to finish off the tank right and secure the number 1 overall pick. Indianapolis wins 17-13. Next, we've got the Jets traveling to Miami. This game currently a pick'em. The Mike White experience really ran off the rails last week, that's for sure. And unfortunately, I got run over by it because I picked the Jets to beat Seattle. But either way, guys, I'm surprised this is a pick'em. Even with Teddy Bridgewater, Miami's still, kicking for the playoffs and stuff. I think Miami wins this game overall 23-19. But I will say Mike White is going to go try hard. if he indeed is starting this game, because after last week, he's playing for a future in the NFL. He needs to have a good week. I will take Miami because they're the better team, even with Teddy Bridgewater, because at this point, I don't see a way Tua Tagovailoa comes back this year. I just really don't. I'll take Miami to win that game. Next, we have Carolina traveling to New Orleans. And guys, this is a completely meaningless game, although I will say Carolina does have their first round pick, so it would behoove them to actually lose this game and try and get a little better draft position. Honestly, Carolina having the season that they did, it does nothing for their franchise. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have a good first-round pick because they won too much. They didn't even make the playoffs. They played in a terrible division. I don't know what Carolina's future is at this point. They need to somehow get lucky and get a quarterback in free agency or trade for someone because they don't have that great of first-round pick. New Orleans doesn't even have their first-round pick. But guys, I get a weird vibe that New Orleans is going to crush a Carolina team who's unmotivated after they blew the division last week in Tampa Bay. New Orleans, maybe Taysom Hill gets a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. Chris Olave catches a deep touchdown in the Superdome. I like the vibe. I like the idea on New Orleans getting a blowout victory. Next, we have the Browns traveling to Pittsburgh. The Steelers still kicking. Their hopes for the playoffs rely on a few different teams losing. I think Miami has to lose along with someone else. Either way, guys, right now, Pittsburgh -3. I'm going to give a very specific prediction on this game. I think the Browns go for 2 after scoring a touchdown late and don't get it because the Browns have nothing to play for, so you might as well go for the win and not go for overtime, and Pittsburgh ends up winning 20-19. Very specific, but that's my prediction on that game. It's funny. Last week I predicted the Browns to tie 20-20. Now I've got them losing 20-19, covering another spread plus the 3. The Steelers have been really good in the second half of the year, especially on defense at home. That trend's going to continue. Deshaun Watson, he's getting a chemistry with Amari Cooper. You know, Amari had that breakout game, the 2 touchdowns, the 105 receiving yards. The Browns are going to be good next year. We all know it, but I will take the Steelers to win this game as they are still kicking for the playoffs. And then moving to the 4 o'clock window, you've got the Giants who have nothing to play for. They are locked into their wild card position, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, who need to win this game to secure that all-important number 1 overall seed, the bye that comes with it, having home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They're 14-point favorites. They're getting Jalen Hurts back. I've got it at 30-17. I know so many people that are in on the Giants to cover a 14-point spread. Guys, I cannot trust that. I think you could see a scenario where Philadelphia goes up 21-0 early in the second quarter and the Giants just turn over and die, because they're going to be, I would think, playing backups for most of this game. Very little to no Saquon Barkley. There's no need. And the Eagles are going full try-hard mode with a Jalen Hurts who they've rested. They're ready to come back and really win this game and secure the number 1 overall seed, in my opinion. Next, we've got Arizona, who has gone full tank mode on the road at San Francisco. Guys, I don't see how Arizona scores in this game. A 14-point favorite for San Francisco. I think they crush Arizona. A lot of this week, I will say, I am predicting to be chalk. And the reason I'm predicting it to be chalk, because there's going to be a lot of teams that are tanking, that are not trying to win, that are not motivated because they want to finish off the tank right and secure their top 5 or top 10 pick. So a lot of these games, the favorites are going to win. It's going to expose Vegas. I think Vegas is going to get crushed on a number of parlays when you parlay all the favorites together, because a lot of these teams, like Houston, like Arizona, there's just like Carolina, there's no motivation to win. San Francisco has an outside chance at getting the number 1 overall seed if Philadelphia somehow loses. But, you know, San Francisco is going to crush Arizona, whether they start Colt McCoy, Trace McSorley, or whoever. I've got them winning 27-10. Next, we have the Rams traveling to Seattle. Guys, I think this is going to be a little fun game. Seattle certainly can still make the playoffs. There's still scenarios, but they need some help from Green Bay. I think it's going to be a fun game. It's a game that the Rams will cover. I know I had the Rams covering last week and they got crushed, but Cam Akers is still playing well. Baker Mayfield is playing for his future in the NFL. Seattle doesn't have that great of a defense. I'm thinking higher scoring close game that Seattle pulls out late. It's been a very good year for Geno Smith. I've got them winning 27-24. Next, we have the Chargers traveling to Denver. The Chargers right now 3-point favorites. I do not think the Chargers are playing for anything. I think they're locked in to their playoff seeding as a wild card. As for Denver, you know what, guys? One last time with Russell Wilson and Broncos country. Let's ride. I have Russell Wilson getting a shocking upset win because really, there's no reason for the Broncos to lose this game. They don't have their first round pick. They need to get some sort of momentum going into the offseason. The Chargers in 30-degree weather on the road. We don't know. They might not play Herbert a ton. Give me Denver to win this game outright. They're going to want momentum going into the offseason for their fan base after a horrible year. They win 20-17. And then I think this is the final 425 game. It's Dallas at Washington. The Cowboys do have a very outside chance at getting the number 1 overall seed. But imagine if they win and Philadelphia somehow loses, they win their division. Tons of money coming in on Dallas. They were -4 yesterday. They're all the way to -5.5 now. I do have the Cowboys winning 23-14. The Carson Wentz experience. Oh my goodness, is Carson Wentz bad? Are they going to go back to Heineke? I mean, Carson Wentz was so bad last week. Either way, I'll take Dallas to win this game semi-easily and really keep the momentum they have going into the playoffs. I do not know the status of Tony Pollard, whether or not they want to be careful with him, but he is very dynamic and they're going to need him healthy for the playoffs. And then, guys, it's the final game on the NFL schedule for Week 18, the Sunday night game. And how about the Green Bay Packers at home, 20-degree weather, win and in. They were like 5 games under 500. They've come all the way back. They've got a very elite, talented defense. They've got a really good running game. Aaron Rodgers is still a very solid NFL quarterback, even though he might be a little bit worse in terms of his age and getting older. Green Bay sitting -4.5. And of course, Jared Goff on the road in cold weather. It's just not going to happen against a motivated Green Bay team who wants to make the playoffs. So I will take the Packers, and I feel very comfortable parlaying Green Bay money line. I think they're an auto lock to win this game against a dome team in the Detroit Lions, 27-17. So guys, that is my official NFL Week 18 picks and predictions for the final week of the 2022 season. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.